All right, we're right at the top of the hour, so let's go ahead and get started. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. Welcome and thank you for joining us for our final Tridium Talk of 2022. In today's session, we'll be taking a look at creating advanced building integrations using the Niagara framework while incorporating enterprise security for access control and providing further enhancements using our video framework. Oop, I'm not sure. Hopefully you all can see my screen now. All right, I am Mike Smith, product manager with Tridium. I cover our hardware and enterprise security products. We're very excited to be joined today by Chris Funk and team from Beist Electric and Mike Hatt and team from Jackson Control. For today's talk, I'll be giving a brief overview of the Niagara Enterprise Security product, followed by the Beist team who will demonstrate how they were able to harness the power of this product in their own headquarters. And then over to Jackson Control team who will highlight how they've been using this framework for years to provide world-class solutions. If you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to put them in the Q&A. We'll be answering some as we go along, and we'll reserve some to answer live at the end of the presentations. We've got a lot of great content for you today, so let's go ahead and get started. As many of you on the call are aware, the Niagara framework is the industry standard for controlling, monitoring, and integrating disparate IoT and building control systems. It creates a truly independent data layer that centralizes all of your data into a single platform. Niagara Enterprise Security has all of the core capabilities and functionalities of the Niagara stack with additional modules for access control, security, video integration, visitor management, and much more. So I want everybody on the call to take a moment to think about your surroundings where you are right now. Are you in your office, a conference room, a shared working space? Does the space feel comfortable? Does it feel healthy? And most importantly, do you feel safe where you are? So Niagara Enterprise Security and Niagara Framework make sure all of your building systems are working together to make sure these needs are met. And if you're not in the office, are you or your employees working from home? Do you know who's in your building today and how the space is being used while you're away? Is your building being driven by static schedules or the systems and resources being dynamically allocated based on actual usage? And do you have customers and sites already running the Niagara framework that can be easily upgraded to get a better return on investment of the existing infrastructure? This is what we're going to explore today, how you can enhance occupant experience, ensure optimum space utilization, and reduce operating costs with one single platform, the Niagara framework. Now I'm going to turn it over to the Beist team who's going to give you a glimpse into the advanced integrations and the power they've harnessed using Niagara. Chris, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. My name is Chris Vonk. I'm with Beist Electric. Beist is a large employee-owned electrical company serving primarily West Michigan. We have many departments and specialized services. Back in 2016, when we set out to build our new campus, we knew that we wanted a Tridium front end, and we were very intentional about the systems that we selected so that we would be able to integrate them into a truly smart building. In the system architecture slide, if you go to that, this shows the major systems that we were able to integrate using the Niagara framework. And as I said, this allowed us to create a truly smart building. As an example, we automate a lot of our workflows. Our conference room workflow starts through Outlook. All of our meetings are scheduled in Outlook. And based on the number of attendees in that meeting, we're able to precondition the space using the HVAC system. And if the meeting happens after hours, the doors stay unlocked, we keep the lights on, and we keep the intrusion system disarmed. And we're also able to automate our intrusion system using a combination of inputs from all of the different parts and pieces and systems that we integrated. we were able to determine if the building is truly occupied by somebody who is allowed to be in the building. Through the white noise integration, the building alerts employees before the intrusion system arms, and they can keep the building disarmed by scanning their card at any card reader. And then after they've done that, as long as they're triggering one of our analytic detection methods using our camera system, motion sensors, whether that be through HVAC or lighting, the system will stay disarmed. And then once the system recognizes the building is vacant, the intrusion system rearms. And we will see some of this in the demo as well. But if we do get an after hours alarm, we disable the overhead doors in the warehouse, and the white noise plays an alert notifying employees to contact the BICE security team. And then the BICE security team will review the footage and the alarms and determine if it is a verified alarm. And then truly verified alarms will automatically be escalated up to our monitoring service that will dispatch the employees. And with that, I want to show our demo, and we'll see a lot of this in the demo. Now that we've given an overview of all the different systems that we are integrating using the Niagara framework, we wanted to show you a brief demo of our buildings, which showcase some of what is possible using a unified platform. We have a total of 4 buildings spread across 2 campuses. Before we go into our HQ building, I wanted to pause on this page and demonstrate the card access management, which is done right from our building management system. And this page is designed to get us 99% of the features that we use to manage our card access database. Enterprise security has its own appliance views. However, we don't necessarily need to expose all of that to the customers. So I'm just going to demonstrate how to add a person to the system. So I'm just going to add myself. And I'm going to click assign myself an access right. I want all access. And I'm going to pick a card from our existing list of issuable cards. And I'm going to click save. And just like that, I've now added a person, assigned them an access right, and given them a badge. And that was all done in about 30 seconds. And like most other card access systems, we can bring up histories of who scanned their cards and where, and what other events have been taking place on the card access system. And all this information can be exported as well. Now I'm going to back up and click into our HQ campus. And I'm just going to focus on our main headquarters building. This brings us right into our floor plan view. And we're only looking at the HVAC layer right now, so we can adjust our temperature set points and see our equipment. And if I turn on the lighting layer, it brings all of our lighting devices as well. And we can individually control each zone if we want. And if we turn on the cameras, we can see all of our camera locations, and we can even pull up live video as well. And if we turn on security, we can see all of our doors. And we have some control over our doors here. If somebody needs to be let in, we just hit the unlock button, and the door will unlock for a few seconds, and then it will relock right after that. And we're also able to use Tridium's override function, and we can override the door locked, unlocked, or we can set it to auto. Up here in this corner, we have a lockdown status. We are able to lock down our entire building or our entire campus or all of our buildings. Clicking on the door summary button brings up a nice list view of all of the doors in the building and their current status. The calendar icon indicates a door that has its own independent schedule. Clicking the icon brings up the Niagara scheduler, which if you've used this before, you know exactly how easy it is to adjust this schedule. And clicking this Activate Lockdown button initiates the lockdown threat level, which locks all the doors in the building. And since we're integrated to our white noise system, a message is played over the white noise, alerting everybody in the building that the building is locked down. We also have this linked to a physical button at our front desk, so the receptionist can activate the lockdown threat level at any time. Now let's talk about our intrusion system. We've talked about after hours usage for our buildings and how our system is automatically deactivated when somebody scans their card at a door. If, however, we do get an after hours alarm, those of us that need to get those notifications will be sent a text message with a link that takes us directly to this page. And so I've generated some test alarms. Just by looking at this page, we can see exactly what sensors trigger the alarm. We're also able to link those alarms to a specific timestamp in our surveillance system. And what that allows us to do is click on any one of these flashing red icons and review that footage of that alarm. So we get auto logged in, and it takes us to 5 seconds before that alarm event happened. So if I click play, within 5 seconds, we should see what generated that alarm. And there was that motion alarm. So I recognize that person and realize, oh, this is just a false alarm. I don't need to do anything. So I can go ahead and close that out, and I can open up our alarm console. And all I need to do is just click on that alarm, acknowledge it, and then as you can see, that particular icon stopped flashing red. These are associated with the hyperlinks of each alarm. So just by highlighting that event, we can click on the hyperlink, and it brings us right to that recorded footage there as well. And same thing, it takes us to 5 seconds before the event. I can hit play and review the footage. And very quickly, I'm able to determine these are false alarms. I'm going to go ahead and acknowledge all of them, which if I do this fast enough, it's going to keep our monitoring service from dispatching the authorities. And then as you can see, as soon as all of those active alarms are cleared, all of the flashing red goes away, and I know that we're good. I'll very quickly show you what we're doing with our energy meters. Kind of developed a little bit of a dashboard that uses all standard Niagara widgets, kind of layered on top of each other, and it gives us a quick overview of our current usage. We do have alarms generated, where if we get a spike, we'll get an alarm, and if you notice these little white ticks on our dial, shows us what max and min we've been at for the past week, and that resets weekly. And that wraps up everything we can show you on our building automation system, since most of that programming happens on the back end. These are just the things that we can show on the user interface. And since we have this system installed in our own buildings, we're constantly thinking of ways that we can expand our BAS capabilities. So with our expansion right now that we're doing in our building, we have an 11,000 square foot addition going in. We're already planning future expansion. So that's all I've got. With that, I'll hand it over to Jackson Control.
Unmute. We got that? We're good. Michael Hatt with Jackson Control. First, like to thank Tridium and Beist for pulling together to deliver such an incredible outcome with security, Niagara, integrated energy, lighting, all the different things that you guys are doing. Jackson Control enables healthy, efficient, and secure buildings. A lot of the buildings that exist, medical office buildings, commercial, industrial, education, the core behind a lot of those is that Niagara already exists in those facilities. We all want to do more with less and are being asked to do more with less. So Niagara, again, is at the core of all of that technology. What we'd like to show from the security side is our demo in our building from a national perspective with Jackson Control that has, I think, 8 office locations or so on our national dashboard, integrated with HVAC and security. When you log in, you see this site, are able to identify areas that you would want to look at very easily with alerts, as Chris also demonstrated. The dashboard, I think, is a very unique tool that allows us to really drive optimization. At the end of the day, we want to do more with less. Jackson Control is the easy button when it comes to that. So when you get to the health of the building, we're looking at different CO2 levels, fan statuses, everything like that. The important thing with security is our ability to connect to it remotely, right? In a Tridium environment, a lot of these technicians and other facility managers have access to Niagara. So what they're going to need to do is manually lock and unlock doors, see who has been the last one to walk into a door, alarm and disarm intrusion activities, lockdown threats, and all of this is done in Niagara. Historically, I think a lot of security companies have rivaled Niagara and made it sound scary. And what we're trying to show today is the seamlessness and ease of how the existing technology you already have in your building can be enabled to do more. And security is one of those features of that. With over 1 million instances of Niagara installed, I think it's important to note it's just a license away to enable this technology for security inside of an existing investment. On this screen here, I think we also want to note real quick is the occupancy. So what we've programmed on the back end is to, with our CO2 sensors integrated with security, count the number of people that are coming in the door so that we can enable fresh air with opening dampers to ensure a healthy and safer environment for its occupants. Brad, I think you wanted to show, yes, we wanted to show again, I think the big thing of all of this is the mobility piece. So Brad's demonstrating now a way to log into the Niagara framework directly and gain access to do all of the same things you were doing just on a computer, now enabled on a phone. Another neat thing that we have been able to enable is a quick unlock page for common in and outs of different folks that need to get into different spaces. And I think what Brad is demonstrating here is a great way to, again, unlock the ease of what already exists inside of these buildings. Nice job. And as a whole here, you want to flip to the next page there, Mike. There we go. So a few of my main thoughts I wanted to make sure to touch on is, where are you in your building life cycle? I think every building that has Niagara in it today sits somewhere different. And whether you're integrating everything that you could or can, I think Chris said it best with making decisions on technology intentionally that has an outcome that can be delivered on a grander scale. With every Jace 8000 that exists out in the marketplace today, all you need is one license to enable the security functionality, which is the SEC-J8-32, which will give you up to 32 doors of access control. And how do we get started? Hit the easy button. Give Jackson a call, give Tridium a call, let BICE know that we all want to help make sure that we can help you deliver the drawings, the takeoff, the engineering, the commissioning, all of that in one nice package. Jackson is also going to be hosting a training for security in our Indianapolis office, March 20th through the 24th. If you have an interest in learning more about that class, or would even have an interest in hosting your own class, please let us know. You know, on that note, I also want to just make sure to again thank Tridium and BICE for their commitment to the Niagara platform, and Roger Rebenak's commitment and Laura Kevitt's commitment to you know, really driving this security platform since 2007 and making it as successful as it has been, and continuing to build on the roadmap to deliver these outcomes, which are ultimately, we're all being again asked to do more with less. So Mike, we'll hand that off back to you.
Thanks, Mike. Thank you, Chris and Team BICE. Thank you, Mike and Brad from Jackson. Really great content shared today. I only see one question in the chat right now, and I'm not exactly sure what model the ECY 1000 is, so I'll have to Google that and see what the equivalent is there. If you have questions, drop them in the chat. Until then, I'll just throw out some questions that some of the things that I've heard for SIs who are not currently doing access control. You know, they're familiar with Niagara, they know how to use it. They might see these as barriers to entry to incorporating more of the access control and video integration to this. Brad or somebody from Jackson, can you kind of talk through some of the ways that you can start introducing SIs to adding these capabilities and functionalities and really add you know, value or additional value to what they're selling to their customers?
Sorry, can you ask that question again?
Yeah. So the SIs who are, you know, typically just Niagara, BMS, HVAC installers that want to extend this, where would you suggest they get started? Obviously, getting started with training, but maybe talk about a little bit about like how this compares to doing like a standard BMS integration. It's all Niagara under the hood. So maybe if you could talk through some of what they might perceive as barriers to getting started.
I think one of the barriers is the thought of it being more complicated than it is. At the end of the day, a lot of these system integrators are putting in programming that is super complex for chiller plants. And with doors specifically, they're either open or they're closed, right? It's either on or it's off. So I think in some respects, some of the security companies may have built some fear into, you know, having that ability to actually do it all in one platform would be another one, right? Because they've historically all been siloed. So in wanting to pursue security, I think one, you got to have the right team in place. We can help with that. Jackson has enabled a whole host of security advancements inside of HVAC companies and system integrators, and we can help create a roadmap with even design. We got a design studio that is full of it's a full products design solution center. We have the right wire, the card readers, the mobile capabilities, intercoms, and all the products in the security ecosystem to extend to the Niagara framework for a single pane of glass. You know, whether wherever you have a Jace installed, you must also let them know that you have to standard. Niagara is the standard, right? So I think again, it comes back to the team and the diversity of understanding that intentional technologies are being deployed with an enablement of a bigger goal in mind.
And I do see some questions in the Q&A specific to what BIST has done. So the first question I see is, what system did BIST utilize to integrate the Niagara platform? We actually used Niagara. We just used the R2Rs that Tridium has manufactured, and we bring those right into our Jace 8000s. We have 5 Jace 8000s running our card access across our campuses. So there really is no integration to the Niagara platform because it's already Niagara. And then I see another question about our graphics. Our graphics are custom made in-house, all using standard Niagara tools. So Kit PX, Kit N4 SVG, There's no custom HTTP code or no HTML5 code. It's all standard Tridium graphics. And then as far as our interface for the card access management, we custom made, again, using Tridium tools, specific views that tie into what is available in the security appliance. So we still give customers access to the appliance views, but for the most part, when they're managing card access databases, they don't want to be bothered with all the other stuff that's on there. They want to add a person, give them an access right, assign them a card, and change schedules. So we've made that really simple through our interface that, again, is all Tridium tools that any Niagara contractor can use and replicate.
Yeah, and just to add on to that, Chris, as well, any third-party graphics package that you would typically use in Niagara also works with enterprise security as well. So customers who are using Reflow or familiar with Reflow, we've seen some demos and some integrations with that as well. We actually have a demo system that we use with built-in Reflow graphics as well. I wanted to go back briefly on the first thing I brought up, and Mike, thanks for your answer there. And I think you did a great job answering that. And I think one of the important things is to start small. Don't go out and bid a giant school or hospital if you're not familiar with it. Start small, find a job where you can add 2 doors or 4 doors. If it's something you're even interested in just kicking the tires on it and seeing how it works and want to play around with it, reach out to me. There's a question in the chat about contacting and personal contacts. There'll be a slide here at the end with contact info. So I'm always happy to have a call, do a demo, provide beta software or trial software. If it's something you think you want to get into, but just want to play around with it first, happy to extend that as well. There's a lot of questions on the video integration piece. The video framework is not unique to the enterprise security platform. It is available both with Niagara Framework and the enterprise security. So it's kind of a standalone module that you can deploy either just in a regular Niagara instance or enterprise security. Obviously, it makes sense in both situations. But we currently support direct to camera IP using Axis cameras. And that is to Jace and supervisors. And then at the supervisor level, we provide integrations to Milestone video management system. So that was what Beist had highlighted in theirs. And we also support Honeywell Max Pro NVR. And you can use either the interface that comes with Milestone or Max Pro, or you can actually have those embedded directly into your HTML5 views as well. So you can bring those feeds directly into your Niagara display.
And just to add to what you said there, Mike, if you notice in our demo, we're not actually using the Niagara driver as it exists right now. We're actually dynamically building URLs that have a timestamp encoded in it. So that can be expanded into any NVR or video platform that allows you to link to a camera using a URL and to recorded footage using a URL. So that's one of the examples of the flexibility of the Niagara framework when you're using it in this capacity. So, and then as part of the Niagara video framework and those drivers, we're able to access alarms and events that come from those cameras in the NVRs. So that's how we're actually able to determine, is there a person in our building using our camera system? We're able to backfeed that information into Tridium in order to say, there's a person in here. We don't need to create a false alarm.
Yep. A question from Laura about the Milestone and VMS. So for licensing that, you do need to purchase the milestone and milestone license for the NVR, and then there is a milestone driver to connect Niagara to that system. All right. There was a question as well about how to estimate the CPU load of a JACE 8000 running both sides, both BMS and enterprise security. I think it depends on the size of the site. Mike, Brad, or Chris, anybody on the call. I know depending on the size of the site, the capacity, what's being used, what's being addressed, and then also preference. I believe there's some sites where the customers prefer all the BMS to be on a JACE and all the enterprise security on a JACE, but there's no reason why you can't run both. Any insights onto that and jobs that you've done?
Yeah, I'll just say that with the Niagara drivers on a JACE 8000, or sorry, for the enterprise security on a JACE 8000, you're limited to 32 readers. So you're not actually using up a lot of overhead to manage that data transfer. So we've got a few instances where we're doing both and we don't have issues. And then, the other thing that we'd be doing on that JACE is backnet networks that have, the maximum 32 devices, whether it's MSTP or IP. So I know that Jackson has experience with that as well. So they may have some further input there.
Brad Truax, anything you want to add to that based on your experience?
Yeah, I mean, he's explained that properly, and you got to pay attention to your resource on those controllers when you're doing the interface directly to the JACEs, because there's a limited amount of resources you have available. But yeah, these are extremely flexible devices that can do a lot. I mean, I've been very impressed with what they can handle. But yeah, you just got to pay attention to your resources when you're integrating more than one system at the JACE level.
Yeah, I think the probably the biggest tax on the CPU load on the JACE itself is the graphics and serving up the graphics. So and that depends. Am I serving up is it a small site that's running just a JACE and the JACE is managing everything, or is it a large site where I can handle all of my graphics from a supervisor? So the classic answer of it depends, and it depends on your network architecture and how your system is set up.
I do see a couple other questions in there about lighting systems that we've used. The lighting system that we're using, it's a Hubble system that uses BACnet. So we're a BACnet integration to our lighting system to pull all that information. And our intrusion system, it's just using our Niagara system. We don't have a separate intrusion system. So sometimes I would tell customers too, if you don't already have an intrusion system, you don't necessarily need to go into the extra added expense of installing that, because if you already have the enterprise security, you've got all the inputs and outputs you need to create your own intrusion system.
Good point, Chris. Thank you. There's a question of, will this recording be available later? Yes, I've got a slide. I will cover that. What protocol are you using to retrieve data from the VMS? So that is a Niagara specific driver that connects over IP to the network server. If you go back and look at the network architecture slide, so that's typically connected over the network, and the milestone driver in Niagara connects those two. There's a question about, does Niagara support Mercury access control panels? Not right now. That's something we're looking at for the future. So currently our product portfolio is a Tridium specific remote reader module, which does 2 doors and Wiegand format. And then it also has inputs, outputs, and controls for up to 2 doors. And then we have a remote input output module for expanding additional sensors to the system as well.
I see a question about anti-passback. Yes, that is a capability that's built into enterprise security directly. So
All right. Question on HID readers. Yes, we integrate with the HID readers as long as they're weekend. We are working on a future roadmap here in the not too distant future of updating our hardware portfolio to include OSDP and some other enhancements, mobile credentials and all that good stuff. Okay, there's a good question here. Can Niagara running intrusion directly monitor end-of-line resistors for failure and tampering?
yes, in fact, the R2R modules and the RIO modules ship with that resistor pack. And I believe it's just a standard 1K, 2K resistor pack, which you can go and buy off the shelf at your local distribution store like ADI or Annixter or things like that.
Okay, is there any self-learning doc or presentation available? I would suggest going to Tridium University. You can find a link to that on our website, tridium.com. And in resources, look for Tridium University. There are a number of free e-learning videos there, kind of introductory videos to get you up to speed, give a good overview of the enterprise security product. So I would suggest checking that out, seeing the content that's available there, and then also checking out a training course. We offer them, Jackson offers them, and there's a number of other customers who also offer the enterprise security training courses as well. Adam asks about using any IP cameras to integrate into the MaxPro VMS driver. So if you're bringing video in from a camera via the VMS, the camera integration is more of a support feature of the VMS system itself. So I know Milestone does a great job of supporting tons and tons of cameras. So if you're bringing video in and camera in through the VMS, then that's more of a function of what the VMS system itself supports. Is OSDP supported? Not yet, but that should be coming next year. Do you ever plan on having Edge 10s have security capabilities? That is a great question and something we are looking at as well. Okay, what ACS systems are integratable with Niagara? Is that access control systems?
Yeah, I believe that would be access control systems.
Okay. That one, we'll have to answer that one offline. Jason just asked, is there any plan to support standard ONVIF RTSP streams directly from cameras with no VMS required? ONVIF is on our long-term roadmap. RTSP streams is something that will be supported in Niagara 4.13. Which will be coming to beta soon. So if that's something you're interested in checking out, I suggest reaching out. We can get you set up on a beta test to try that out. Anybody who's interested in beta testing, you can reach out to Tridium beta test at tridium.com. We'll get you set up there. We currently do not integrate with Genetec. So some of the other third-party and proprietary controllers, we do not currently have integrations with them.
Mike, would the caveat be there that if the ACS supports BACnet and has BACnet, we could get that data out of those systems to then affect things on the larger BAS?
Yeah, I would say that's fair, as long as you're not trying to connect to a proprietary protocol. If it's a common protocol and you can get data out of it, then yes. All right, it looks like there's still a number of unanswered questions. Not sure how many more of these we can answer live. We will share the presentation video, and this will be available on our website. I'll show you where in just a second here. All right. So thanks everybody for joining today. I think we'll end the webinar here. So if you're interested in more information on anything from Niagara to Niagara Enterprise Security and our video framework, you can check out TridiumTalk under products, Niagara Enterprise Security. I'd also encourage you to check out our YouTube channel. We've got a number of good videos on there as well. And where you can find this recording, this will be posted along with the Q&A questions. And it usually takes about a week or so to get these uploaded to our website. So we will get this uploaded. It will be under services and support and events. And here you'll find this Tridium Talk, as well as all of the other Tridium Talks we've previously done. Great big thank you to Brad and Chris from Beist Electronics. If you'd like to reach out to them, this is their contact info. Jackson Control, thanks Mike and Brad for your participation today. And that is my contact info there as well. Thanks again for everybody for joining, your participation. Hope everybody has a good and safe holiday season, and we look forward to working with you all again next year. And we'll see you in 2023. Thank you.